Hello class. In this video, I will be going through stage 4 of your projects and of the course. This is the final stage of the semester, so it's very important for you to watch this video and go through all of the resources to ensure that you're finishing up your project in all of the recommended ways for the course to ensure you're on track and that you can get a nice SAT at the end of this and proceed onward to next semester. And, of course, end up with a wonderful project for your portfolio at the end of all of this, as well as an enriching learning experience. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to just get down here, and here we are in Blackboard. Before I get into stage 4 specifically, I think it's good to go back and let's check the course and project overview here, and let's get to the critical path. I know it's quite buried in this hierarchy of information, but here's the critical path for the course. Just to kind of remind you of the process you've gone through. In the first 3 weeks of the semester, that was stage 1. That's when you were looking into what project to do for this class. At the same time, you were also getting a sense of what is this class? Okay, it's online. How is this supposed to work? What is a project timesheet? What is the timeline? I recognize that stage 1 was maybe the most chaotic stage of this process, given it was the start of the semester. There was a lot of information, a lot of things on Blackboard, so I'm definitely working to refine stage 1 for future iterations of this course. But by the end of stage 1, you had your project direction determined. Then in stage 2, for weeks 4 through 7, you were doing pre-production work, sketches, drafts, storyboards, wireframes, all of that grand old stuff. And during that time, you also completed the Remote Work Foundations module. You met with me for your first meeting in the course, and you met with your peers for a peer feedback session during this stage of the course. So by the end of week 7, you had all of your pre-production work completed, ideally, right? I'm following an ideal path here, to enjoy your reading week. And then you came back from reading week, and you've been in the production stage ever since, working on your production work, really creating your final assets, and starting to now get them refined and completed. And at this point in time, you also met with me a second time. So at that point, we discussed, how are things going, and are you on a good path to finish your project in time. So that was a very helpful meeting, hopefully for you. It was also great for me just to get a better sense of where you were at. Even though I do get a sense of that from your submissions, it helps to talk with you as well. So now here we are in stage 4, weeks 12 through 14, basically, of the course. Even though stage 4 is due in week 13, you'll see what's going on with how it extends into week 14 with a final peer comment. Actually, there's a reflection as well. Project reflection plus peer comments. So with that, I suppose I'll just start getting into stage 4 here. Just like with the other stages, there's an overall area for it on Blackboard, and it says to complete any final tweaks in your project to ensure it's professionally completed. Then compile and share a case study detailing your project this semester. That's what you'll be working on during stage 4. So at the end of stage 3, all of your production work should ideally be completed so that you can spend this stage just focusing on final refinement and tweaks, things you may have overlooked. And then putting together your case study. And you do want to put time into this case study because it's going to be what you put out into the world. It's for potential employers. It's for people in your career field. Like, it's beyond just being a class project, right? This is something that's meant to really be a testament to you as a creator out in the creative world. So keep that in mind, okay? The stage 4 overview, that's where you would find this video. I do have some things detailed in text here. You've now reached step 4, not step 4, it's stage 4. See, here I'm finding all of the typos. This is me doing the finalizing stage here. Stage 4, finalize and deliver for your multimedia project. The goal of this stage is to polish your work and prepare it for presentation. I'll just keep this as an edited format. You'll refine your project, review all the elements, and ensure everything aligns with your initial vision before delivering the final product. Okay? Purpose of stage 4. This stage is focused on fine-tuning and finalizing your project. You will revisit all of your assets and content, ensuring they are cohesive, polished, and ready for submission and presentation. So you will review and refine your work, paying attention to details such as typos, consistency, visuals, and overall flow, right? That's me noticing that right now with some of these learning resources, which is a funny experience. You will conduct a thorough quality check to identify any mistakes or areas for improvement. You'll meet with peers for another perspective and ensure the project meets the expectations and standards required. Develop a final case study for your portfolio showcasing your project. Complete a project reflection to close off the project, and you'll also provide peer comments on one another's case studies to build your professional networks and relationships. This is the main sort of purpose of this stage. Key takeaway: the more thorough and well prepared you were during the earlier stages, the smoother the final process will be, right? So the more complete your work is from the production stage, the less finalizing and tweaking you'll have to do at this stage. Don't rush this step. Taking the time to review and polish your project will elevate its quality. Again, this is making sure it's ready for professional delivery. That's the idea here. Ensure that every element is cohesive and aligns with your original concept before delivering your finished work for the world to see. So the breakdown of how this is going to kind of work and be submitted, if you can see all of this, I know that my video is here in the corner. This stage is one part lasting 2 weeks, and there's an additional week for your reflection and peer comments. So stage 4, the main brunt of this, you need to finish your professional development activity, which is due at the end of week 12. So make sure you do that. That's kind of been an ongoing thing, not specifically tied to any particular stage, but you're meant to complete that. If you haven't been able to find an event, there are options in that assignment for you to watch some professional development videos, basically, to still complete that. It's not meant to be a high-stakes assignment. It's meant to be something just to get you thinking more about, again, how these skills that you're learning adapt to the outside world and what that kind of culture is like. You will participate in your second peer feedback session during this stage. That's very important. So you need to connect with your remote team. You're already connected from last time. You'll meet up again. You'll have your final production work to show one another, which you should be excited to share. And you're going to be looking at each other's work really for like making sure that everything is cohesive. And, you know, are there any typos in there? Do you notice any visual glitches or inconsistency between frames or something like that? Like, really be trying to look for those details that may have been overlooked by the creator, which happens to the best of us, right? As you're seeing right now with my own learning resources that I developed. And you'll develop your final Behance case study, right? Ideally after your peer feedback session, you will put together your case study. Maybe you're working on your case study kind of alongside getting some feedback. That's okay, but you're going to want to make sure that you get good feedback to finalize your work, and then you create a quality case study of all of your work. And you'll share your work on a Behance sharing board here on Blackboard. I'll go over that in a second. And then in week 14, because this is due in week 13, week 14, the final week of the semester, you'll do a final project reflection, and you will provide proof of peer comments on one another's work. So I'll also talk about that in this video. You know, there's a timesheet and timeline for your stage submission, and there are separate submissions for the development activity and the reflection and peer comments. So you will see that when I get to this here. But first, we'll look at the stage 4 resources. Peer feedback session 2, guidelines. These are the same guidelines as with your first peer feedback session. Schedule a meeting with your team, prepare for peer feedback, use the same form as before. It's quite generalized, but at this point you're at a different stage of your project, right? What could be improved or refined? Does it meet the overall goals and objectives of this project, right? Any specific suggestions as you finish this up, or even suggestions for, you know, how you can really make your case study impactful. That's really great to get from your peers at this stage as well. Document your meeting. Make sure to, if you're meeting online with your peers, get a screenshot. If you're meeting in person, take a selfie. This is the proof that you actually met with humans. And then you'll submit your form with the stage 4 submission. And so that's all in there. I figure I don't need to go through that line by line as you've been through it before, and you can access that yourself. Now, the Behance case study guideline, this is something that's going to be very important for you because this is what details the structure of how your case study is intended to be. First, it's recommended you search Behance for case studies of similar projects, right? If you're doing a UI UX project, look on Behance, see how people are doing it, see how they're presenting their work. If you're doing motion graphics, look on Behance, see how they're doing their work. Yours may not be exactly like the way that they do it, but you can at least get some inspiration from other creators out there to see, you know, the quality of what they're putting out there, for better or for worse, right? This can give you a sense of some industry standards as well as which case studies stand out and which ones don't, to give you insights to your own approach, right? If there's a case study that doesn't stand out, then learn from that and then don't follow the same things that that person did, right? Follow the ones that really do stand out and feel impactful for you. The structure of your case study is detailed here, and it's pretty open-ended, but you need to make sure you include all of this stuff in your case study. So it needs to use the following structure. You can vary as needed depending on your project, but it should follow this overall structure. Okay, so again, you're all doing different kinds of projects, so you might find that there's certain things that apply more to yours or less to yours, you know, UI UX versus motion graphics versus a video, like it's all kind of open-ended. But this is the general structure. First, a project overview. Well, no, actually, first, start your article with something to catch your reader's attention, like an eye-grabbing component of your final project. Something that says, boom, right? That's making your project stand out. And that's also helpful, I think, for your thumbnail that you may need to make as well. Like, what makes someone say, whoa, what did this person do? I want to see what's going on with that project. Then you'll include your project overview. State your chosen topic area, right? Your discipline and your project direction. So for instance, motion graphics campaign for Nike. That would be the project overview. Then what was the goal? State your overall goal with this project. For example, okay, I wanted to create one motion poster and 2 social media ads promoting the new Air Jordans, right? So you can see there's a difference between the overview, which is just a general sort of, okay, this is the discipline, this is the brand I was working with. Then the goal looks at what specifically you were creating. And this should be taken from your stage 1 submission, ideally, right? Maybe you tweak some things here and there, but the same idea applies. Then the technology used. This is very important because this is you demonstrating, okay, these are the technologies I'm proficient with that I use for this project. List the key technologies, software, apps, hardware, etc. that you use for this project. Include any use of AI tools here. Be honest, even if it was used to improve the writing for this case study. Be honest, open, transparent about your use of AI when it comes to this project, because as you go out into the world as a professional, at this point in the landscape, it's very important for you to be able to discuss and demonstrate how you use AI in your creative work. If you don't use AI, then that's great. Then you wouldn't put that there. But if you did use AI, be transparent about it. The last thing that you should be doing is using AI work, not being transparent about it. Then you get hired, and then you can't actually do the work that you're showing, right? Because you're relying on AI to do that work for you. But if you're transparent about it, then whoever hires you would recognize, oh, they're using AI for this part of this assignment or this project, right? So keep that in mind. Please be open. Even if you use ChatGPT to help you improve some of your writing in the case study, say that you use ChatGPT to do it. Okay, that's really all I ask you to do. There's no benefit to you to use AI and not say that you did, right? This is a very great program for you to be in for using AI because you're kind of allowed to, but you really have to be transparent about it. Okay, that's my end of statement there. The red text in all caps should tell you enough. Then you get into the creative process. Discuss the creative process and learning you completed across the semester. This should come across as a story of how you went from starting the project to finishing it, including key process materials, ideation work, sketches, drafts, etc., and commentary describing what you went through. A good rule of thumb is you can include an example from each stage of the project. This will show crucial creative development, right? You have all of this work, the process work, in your submissions on Blackboard. So all you have to do is go back to your old submissions and say, oh, there was the sketches that I was working on. Oh, there's a screenshot of me working on this in development. Okay, that's really great that you have that, because now you can take those resources and put them into this case study as you're showing the way that your creative ideas evolved. It's very important with this case study that you show your creative process, not just the final product, because people will a lot of times, yes, they do want to see the final work that you made, but they're in many ways more interested in what is the process you went through. How did you actually take this challenge and complete it? Because that's what they're going to really be asking you to do in any sort of workforce, is having an assignment, having a project you're working on, and understanding that you're capable of going through it incrementally rather than just, here's the thing I did, right? And then you'll showcase your final project at the end, right? Your final completed project is the culmination of your creative process. So you can see how this tells a bit of a story, the way that you are presenting this case study, and you really want to, put all the fireworks there at the end to give a big, but you grab them in the beginning with something, and then you go through this whole process, and then in the end you really show the work that you ended up creating. Resources. Oh, you know what? I had put some examples in here, but they aren't showing up. That's unfortunate. Nope, wrong thing. Behance case study. Let me just see if I can open them real quickly. Behance Killy. This is a classic one. Behance. It was. Oh man, now I'm on the spot. Hong Kong, and then Behance. You can see that my computer is unfortunately not the fastest at this point in time. Social gelato, yes. Okay, so these are some examples of previous student work on Behance. I'll make sure that these links are in there. I tried to update this and it didn't update it. So once again, I'm having to do my own stage 4 work at this point in time. This one you may have seen already. It's for this student who did the Kili promotional package. Really attention grabbing right from the start. You see these really impressive visuals. They're moving in the case study itself. You see the table of contents here, overview, and then stage 1 research, stage 2 pre-production, stage 3 production, right? And then finally the outcome. You can see how this template was used. Here's the overview of the project, the technologies used, research the student did, mood board, inspiration. So this was from stage 1, right? The research that they did into the project. Stage 2 pre-production, showing some of the programs and software they were using during that stage, some reels they were looking at, how they storyboarded out some of their project. Then the production stage, showing different tools they used, right? How they produced this work, and then the final outcome, right? And there's music playing with there too, if you can hear it. Talking about the production stage using Arrow as well to create an AR piece, which you can scan on your phone to see, and then reflecting there at the end. Thank you for viewing. So you can see how the student tells a story with the way that they came from an initial idea and then developed it over time, right? And this is a solid project in doing that. This one variates a little bit, is that it doesn't follow that structure completely, which again, I would say you should be following that structure a bit more in your work, but just out of impressiveness, this student, created this brand revamp of a condom company. And look, you can see that she's available for hire. It's funny. Yes. So you can just see, again, get inspiration from the level of quality that these students have put these projects together with. And you can see going through all of the different research that they did. Man, my computer is not helping in this video. Their goal and vision. Right. These will work better when you view them on your own machine. But something to keep in mind. You can just see, again, how impressive. And it's having a hard time loading on my computer just because my computer is not very good at this point. But it should load well for you. And you can see how they created the icon and stuff like that. So these examples are there for you to check out. There's another one here, a social media campaign a student did. And just quickly, I can just show you that they, again, use some interesting ways of including motion-based interaction in here, right? So GIFs really, I think, can enhance how your work comes across, especially if there is that element to your work. It can really make it stand out here on Behance. So again, those are examples that are there for you to look at. Some of them, like I said, variate from the structure a bit more than others, but I would advise you to follow the structure more so than not. So more similar to that Kili promo package. There's resources here as well, resources to help you with any writing. If you would like to improve your writing for this submission, there's a short book. There are some articles just, helping you how to write case studies and how to write as a designer. Content and structure for Behance. There are articles here, how to build a better Behance case study, how to create a catchy UI UX Behance case study, how to make a cool Behance case study in 15 minutes. These are just helping you getting used to the way in which these case studies are created on Behance. And then some of specific creation help. So there's a help guide from Behance of how to create and publish a project on there. an article on how to use Photoshop to put together your case study to make it visually appealing. Here's a video on how to use Illustrator for putting together your case study. And then here's a video on how to include animations in your case study using After Effects, which, believe it or not, this video is from the student who made that Killy case study, right? So I reached out to them, this student, saying, hey, would you be willing to provide some insight in how you were able to create animations in your case study? And then so he made a screen recording showing how he did it in After Effects, which is great, right? Again, the student feedback loop of contributing to this course continues. So watch that, right? Get a sense of how they did it. And, you'll see that it's a lot of self-directed resources here for putting this case study together, because as with most of the other things with this project as well, you are the creator here, you are the leader here, choosing your own adventure. So you find how the case study is going to work best for your project, and you compile it in that way. And so it is a self-directed learning exercise for you to get used to putting a case study together like this on Behance. It's a whole nother tool for you to now learn and become more comfortable with. And like I said, the level of quality with which you put forward this project is indicative of the level of quality of yourself as a creative in many ways, right? So how do you want to present yourself professionally? This piece of work here is very important for that. So that's the case study guideline. You'll see when it comes to submitting this thing that there's the stage 4 submission. This is similar to previous submissions in the course. You will have a final timesheet, cataloging basically and logging up all of the hours you spent on the project throughout the semester. Not that you're going to go through every single line by line, but you should have that running total, right? So your running total will give you a sense of just how many hours you put into this project. It's meant to be a reflective exercise for yourself in many ways to see how much work you have put into this throughout this term. An updated final project timeline, ideally having pretty much everything checked off. And then your peer feedback worksheet from your second peer feedback session, and a link to your Behance case study. And here's a link back to that guideline. And I'll show you what the sharing board is like in just a second. And work items, putting time there for the peer feedback session, putting time there for finalizing your work, and time for developing the case study, because it's going to take some time. Case study isn't something you're going to put together at 10 o'clock at night, an hour before this is due. It's something you're going to need to be working on and really putting effort into to have something impressive at the end of the day. Now, the sharing board, you'll see that there's a due date at the same time of your submission, because you are also requested to share a link to your case study here. And then you'll access and provide comments on your peers' projects on Behance, not on Blackboard. So you'll just post a link to your Behance case study here, and then this will compile a database of student work, so you can click through them and open it, see their project, and comment on it on Behance. Do not comment on it on Blackboard, because that's not going to really go anywhere. Commenting on the work on Behance gives it more attention, gives it more engagement to help y'all boost each other's projects. And use this as an opportunity. I mean, there's 60-something projects and students in this course. So how could you make a post here getting people to actually look at your project and provide comments on it, right? Use it as an opportunity to also try and get people's engagement, right, with your work. That's something to keep in mind. And that leads to your final thing you will submit, which is not meant to be anything high stakes. But at the end of this, at the end of week 14, Friday, December 13th at 11, by then, I would ask you to complete this final project reflection. It just asks you some questions to think about this project process you went through. Did you meet your project goals? Why or why not? What main challenges did you face? How did you overcome them? What did you learn about your chosen discipline or project area, right? Whether it was motion graphics, UI, UX, etc. And most importantly, what did you learn about yourself, right? This reflection is meant for you to think about not just how you made this project, but what did you learn about yourself as a creative person through this process? That, to me, is the true, real learning lesson you're going to get from this, because that is what you can take with you beyond just this project into future projects, into your career, right? And hopefully you'll also have learned a lot about the incremental development of projects, right? And how that can help you with your future work. As well as your reflection, I would ask you to attach screenshots showing 2 comments on Behance. So first, share a link to your project on the sharing board. You should have already done that. Connect with one another on Behance. Follow each other too, right? Create a whole network of one another that will help you all boost each other's work. And comment on your peers' posts on Behance and attach screenshots of supportive comments from you on at least two of your peers' Behance projects here. And the more you engage with each other's projects, the more it'll appear on other people's feeds. This is an opportunity for y'all to get more exposure on your creative work, right? And if someone's looking at your work and when you applied for a position, if they see that there's like 3 to 5 comments on it already, they might be like, wow, this project is obviously impactful in this field, right? So really try to approach this as a way to gas each other up, right? Help one another in this whole world of trying to get work and all that kind of stuff, trying to get your work placements, trying to get a job after school. Like, this process is meant to help you all with that. And it's really getting you to think about, you're no longer submitting things just on Blackboard for course credit. You're putting your work into the world, okay? That can be daunting, but it's very important for you to make that step, and this course is crucial in doing so. So that closes up all of stage 4. I realize this video, there's quite a bit of information in it, so I'll be breaking it up by section. And you can, on YouTube, click on which section you need to review. If you need to go back and, see what I said again about the case study guidelines or something like that. I will note as well that the student feedback questionnaire is up here as well for you to please fill out to provide official feedback on the course. In previous stages, I've given links to provide feedback about the stage before it, but at this point, I would ask that you just complete the official feedback for the course to ensure that there's good data on how this course went for you, that the school has, right? And it's very important for me to look at as well. Helps me to know how to improve this class and make it better for future iterations. Get back here to full video. Yes, so any final feedback on the course is definitely welcomed and encouraged. It's anonymous. I would really appreciate that. Just as this video continues on, right, stage 4, it really is about wrapping up this project, wrapping up the course in many ways. If you can recall from a previous video, a big way in which I approached this course was because I last year was teaching this class in person, and it was kind of, we'd have 1 week in person, 1 week remote, 1 week in person, 1 week remote. And I asked students one point in the class to use AI to generate where they saw themselves in like 5 years, 10 years, something like that. The majority of students generated images of someone working on a laptop in some non-office environment. They're on a beach, they're on a mountain, they're in a park, they're in a coffee shop. They were not in a cubicle, right? Or they were at their home. So that really made me realize, okay, students have a desire in this program to be able to have freedom in how they work, right? Whether that's working remotely or digital nomad type of thing, being a freelancer. It depends on the particular student. But I took that and I said, you know what? This course should be online as a way to get students used to that experience, right? And that's really what this was intended to be. And so I hope at the end of this, you feel more confident in your ability to take on projects yourself, right? And to be able to work independently, because to succeed as a remote worker, to be able to have the benefits of having your laptop on the beach or whatever you might want to do, you have to have the discipline and the time management to be able to keep up with your projects yourself on your own time. And that's what this course was really about, right? And you're going to have a great piece at the end of it now to show what that process looked like for you. And the way of splitting projects into this sort of stage format should also be something you can take with you outside of this course. As just a quick example, I was just recently contacted by someone I'm connected with to create a website for their documentary film. I'm going to put together a proposal and a timeline that follows pretty much exactly how this course was set up, right? I'm going to do, research and planning things out. I'm going to do pre-production work. I'll do the production work and then final tweaks and continuing on with the project, right? So this kind of process, it's an overall structure for you to take with you as well into projects that you're going to do outside of school, right, in your life. So that's something to also keep in mind. So as you're finishing this all up and then you eventually get to that reflection moment, try to think about this stuff, right? What are you really actually getting out of this? And that also gives me a better sense too of what are students getting out of this course? What are they getting out of this project? And if you complete all of these grand things and you get them in on time, Right. I know there's a lot of students who have already used all of their late waivers, so no more late submissions for you. Everything comes in at 11 o'clock at night. You should know that by now in this class. It's not 11:59. There's no weekend wiggle room. Boom, 11 o'clock on Friday. Um, anyway, if you do all that, you get a SAT at the end of the day for this course, SAT for everything you've submitted. Then you move on to next semester, where you will have a similar course like this called Emerging Multimedia Practice 2. And in that course, you will propose another project that you'll work on in this sort of way. It'll be a bit more condensed. It's 9 weeks instead of 14, but we'll get into that when it comes. And it will be a similar format here, right, of this online approach. And you already now have gone through this process once before, so it should be more seamless next time, ideally. And I look forward to that, right, and seeing what new projects you might want to do, whether that's building on something you started in this semester, that's possible, or doing an entirely different project with something else, right? That's also possible. So that's something to keep in mind in the back of your head. But of course, you have so many projects you're working on in so many classes, and including this class too. So thank you for watching this video and for keeping up with your projects throughout the semester. I wish you luck as you complete this final stage. I know this was a rather significant information overload here ending off the course. Maybe it kind of caps off with stage 1 in that way, but hopefully it's clear for you. If you have any questions about anything or clarification, you can ask your peers, and you can always, of course, send me a message on Blackboard, and I'm happy to clarify. So with that, I will just say good luck as you finish up your projects. I look forward to seeing how they all come together.